Hey everybody, Adam Savage here in my cave, answering some Mythbuster questions today, submitted by tested patrons. Today's question is from Danny Curry, and Danny Curry wants to know, my first time meeting Adam was the final Mythbusters live show in San Francisco. I remember it well. That was a really fun show. What were some of the more exciting parts of traveling slash performing live as opposed to pre-recorded and edited TV? What are some of the things you didn't like about it? This is a great question, Danny. I love touring. And to be clear, I wrote my first touring show with Jamie in 2012. Yeah, is that correct? Yeah, 2012. We took shows around the world for 3 or 4 years. 3 years. I think we wrapped up in 2015. Yeah. The last tour we went on was in late 2015. And that was after we'd wrapped Mythbusters. We wrapped Mythbusters in like early November 2015 and then went out on what would be Jamie's and my last tour. I toured again in 2017 with Michael Stevens, but so I've spent a lot of time on the road. I have taken big shows to 2,000 to 3,000 seat houses all over the world, and I'm a road dog. Like, I really dig the road. I like the tour bus action. I like a different city every day. I love the... Look, ultimately, my favorite thing is telling stories. I tell them with the props that I make. I tell them with these videos that I produce, and I did it with Mythbusters and I did it with a touring show. They're all different. They're all different ways of telling stories. They're different ways of interacting with people while sharing stories. And I mean, as far as interacting with human beings and sharing stories, like, television is an unbelievable medium. Mythbusters' reach was gargantuan and astounding. And the feedback could be amazing. The degree to which we began Mythbusters without much of a feedback loop with the fans, because that's the way television kind of was in the early aughts. And then we finished Mythbusters having what felt like a very direct relationship with the fans, where between Twitter and YouTube and Instagram and Snapchat and all these other ways in which myths and stories and ideas came to us, as well as feedback from the fans and elaborations and better methodologies. Yeah, I would say that the arc of the show on the Discovery Channel, the arc of Mythbusters on the Discovery Channel, was certainly an arc of more and more fan interaction as the show went on, and the show only benefited from that. So it would be natural, I think, for the next thing I'm going to say, which is that one of my all-time favorite things about doing a stage show is that direct interaction with the audience. There's nothing quite like it. And you can write a show and you can perform it for an audience and it can go fine and it can be what you expected. You can also sometimes find yourself in front of an audience that is so loving and so accepting that all of a sudden all this material in your brain just starts sprouting brand new material. And the interaction starts yielding brand new insights about the interaction. I've had some really powerfully special moments on stage where I was having a conversation with 2,000 people and it felt quite intimate. That's real. It really is great. I love the meet and greets. I love the meet and greets of touring. And I've talked about this in other forums before, but I'll talk about it in this answer. When you do a touring show, you make your money in several ways. You make it from direct ticket sales. You also make it from merchandising. You also make it from VIP tickets that are sold with a little more, right? And it's often a meet and greet and or photo opportunity after the show. And that's usually for between 50 and 100 people, depending upon the performer's appetite, frankly, I think. And in the beginning days, Jamie and I did meet and greets with 50 people every evening, and I found it really tiring. I found it really exhausting. And the degree to which it's exhausting turned out to be the degree to which I was resisting the process. I'll explain. When you meet someone you admire, when you meet someone you've been thinking about meeting for a while, you bring a lot to that interaction. You know, this person you are meeting, and I've had this with countless people I've met whose work I am a huge fan of. You want them to like you. You want to be friends with them. You feel like they've contributed a lot to your life, and you'd like that to continue. That's totally natural. And as the person who's been on both sides of that interaction, but from this standpoint, being on the receiving end of that, I feel that pull. I'm an empathetic person like everybody is. I can feel that somebody wants something out of that interaction. And there's a psychic weight to that pull. What I learned was simply to give over to it, not to resist it. When you resist it, it makes you more tired. When you meet somebody and they are pulling you towards them and you resist it, it makes you more tired. I am saying all this from the standpoint of being a dude in this world at this moment in time. Your results may vary. The ways in which I am describing fan interaction does not apply to being a woman, because I am not one and I cannot know what that is like. So I really just want to state right here that, like, there are ways in which in this world at this time women need to protect themselves way more than I need to in a fan interaction. That's just the truth. And it's a sad truth, but it's the real thing. Sorry, I feel like I've been talking a mile a minute. The psychic weight of those interactions is somewhat illusory in my experience. And that if I take my compassion and fully meet that person standing across from me, I find the end of that interaction is often a plus rather than a negative. It gives me something rather than takes something away from me. And of course, that's why we protect ourselves. We feel like something's being taken. We feel like somebody wants to take something from us. So that's totally understandable. Human interaction is fraught and social anxiety is real. I suffer from social anxiety like anybody else does. But once I realized that the key to a 100-person meet and greet every night, because we bumped from 50 to 100 at one point, the key is drop in and focus all my attention on each person that I am meeting. And at the end of that 90 minutes of shaking hands and taking pictures with 100 people, I am so wired. I usually never got to sleep before 3 a.m. What a delightful feeling. And really, it's mostly just about meeting people where they are and exulting in similar stuff together. You asked for things that I didn't like about it. I don't like being away from my house for extended periods of time. In early 2017, when Michael Stevens and I first went out on our first tour together, that was the first time my kids were out of the house. I was an empty nester, so I'm like, let's do a 7-week tour. And we did a 7-week tour, and my wife and I discovered that's too long to spend apart. Yeah, that was just too long to spend apart. So I've learned about myself that I like to travel for 3, maybe 4 weeks at a time, and then I gotta recoup. What else is tough about the touring? Frankly, it's a freaking delight. I mean, it's a real unique existence. Waking up in a different city every morning, sleeping in the back of a bus, living with your crew for weeks, meeting different audiences in different countries every single day. It's really special. And even if I never do it again, I'm so grateful for having gotten to do it. That being said, I can't wait to do it again, but it's going to be a while. As you could imagine, there are like 2 full years worth of touring shows waiting to make back their investment since COVID began. It's going to be a bit of a shit fight for a while. Danny, thank you so much for that awesome question. I know that I've covered a bunch of this material in the not too distant past, sometime in the last year, but it's worth going over again. Can't wait to get back out there and touring. Can't wait to see y'all at the various cons and other things that the public stuff that will start to happen soon. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it just like you are. All right, thanks you guys. Stay safe. I will see you next time.